Well, it is a public safety issue we first told you about yesterday. Children using scooters to commit crimes not only carry guns, but some have shown a willingness to shoot. It's happening in Atlanta. We have obtained video of one violent encounter as a construction worker tries to prevent a car break-in. Fox 5's More Stiggs has the exclusive story.
Now, this is what I don't like about these anchors. Had this been a Sun man, an unarmed Sun man, in the middle of like he's on bond or the marshals caught up with him, whatever, and he's giving them the hardest time he can, and something goes bad, it's a whole different tenor to that. It's almost as if your life doesn't matter unless it was negatively affected by a cop or a glider. Because this right here, this is terrifying. We know how feral these kids are. Those of you who subscribe to this channel, you know how little guidance they get at home. You know their nature, their inclinations, their natural, the hardware, as we call it here. You know about the hardware. Then you add that with the neighborhood they live in, the homes they come out of, the schools they go to, which all things are bad because of their parents in the prior generations. It has nothing to do with racism or anything like that, or the system or nothing. All those things are terrible because of the people who came before them. But this right here is horrified. This woman, I would be shocked if she doesn't go home this is to be terrifying for her. I'd like a little bit more emotion. That's all I'm saying. This is terrifying.
It is a public safety issue we first told you about yesterday. Children using scooters to commit crimes not only carry guns, but some have shown a willingness to shoot. It's happening in Atlanta. We have obtained video of one violent encounter as a construction worker tries to prevent a car break-in. Fox 5's More Stiggs has the exclusive story.
On Wednesday, we told you about a group using these scooters operating in the nighttime hours. Late at night, children as young as 12. Now we're hearing that also there's another group that is striking in the daylight hours.
This happened in the middle of the day.
Kids firing their weapons startled the Grant Park community, says their city councilman.
Were riding around, casing out the neighborhood on scooters, and they were caught basically by a group of contractors as they were committing a larceny in their vehicle. When the workers came to confront the teens, they in tail started shooting at the contractors.
No one was.
Now, let me tell you, if those contractors had shot back and killed one of those little teens, this guy would be standing at a podium with the mother talking about, and maybe Crump or Sharpton or whatever local carpetbagger, race hustler they have down there in Atlanta. There's quite a few. And talking about the gun was never pulled out. When the cops got on the scene, they found a gun in his bag. Because there probably would be no footage. Because it didn't happen in front of anybody's house or anything like that. The gun was in the bag. How did the gun get, or if the gun was on the ground some odd feet away, how did the gun get 6 feet away from him? They must have, it would be something about that little boy and those contractors didn't have to act like that. They should have shown more restraint, and they should have been yada, yada, yada. But when it's the contractors, no one thinks about what that does. You're working in the neighborhood, and some 12 and 13 and 14-year-olds come up and they're shooting at you. They're stealing your stuff and they're shooting at you. And you still got to go back to that neighborhood and finish the job, knowing that those kids got zero discipline from anybody. The parents definitely didn't give him any discipline. The parent didn't give him any discipline. The system didn't give him any discipline. And now you beefing with some low IQ preteens that listen to NBA Youngboy and Kodak Black all day and Pooh Shiesty and Lil Durk. And it's on.
When the workers came to confront the teens, they in tails started shooting at the contractors.
No one was hit, thankfully, but police and neighbors need to be aware of what's in some of those backpacks that are visible by day, but harder to see at night when some of the children as young as 12 have been out and committing crimes, some of those crimes by force.
Could you imagine if one of these kids gets hit by a car? And the person's not going to stop because it's like 20 of them, or 15, or maybe 10, or even 5 of them. And the person's not going to stop. Or if the person stops, and then, oh my God, this is just so much trouble. These kids, and it's never going to make national news until they're the victim of something.
But police and neighbors need to be aware of what's in some of those backpacks that are visible by day, but harder to see at night when some of the children as young as 12 have been out and committing crimes, some of those crimes by force.
Some are just knuckleheads. Some have even done some attempted robberies or robberies.
Jason Winston represents the Grant Park community and surrounding neighborhoods. His district encompasses 2 police zones that are dealing with scooter criminals.
I heard from both by Zone 6 and Zone 3 majors that some of the kids are actually going on the devices. They're paying with apps such as Cash App that don't require them to be able to verify their age. So that's how they're circumventing the age verification process. And so I just want to make sure we strengthen that.
Like I always tell you guys, instead of addressing the problem, the actual person doing it, they always try to do something ancillary. Like now they're going to make it harder for regular people who want to just get a scooter with their Cash App. Now they're not going to be able to do it because these teens, son teens, are using them for robberies. So they always punish everyone else, just like I talk about at the malls. Sun teens go to the malls and terrorize it. And now Glacier Glider teens, Crouching Tiger teens, Umbrito teens, everyone needs you can't be in the mall after a certain time, and you can't be in the mall without a chaperone. They always punish everybody except for the Sun team.
I heard from both by Zone 6 and Zone 3 majors that some of the kids are actually going on the devices. They're paying with apps such as Cash App that don't require them to be able to verify their age. So that's how they're circumventing the age verification process. And so I just want to make sure we strengthen that.
Atlanta police tell Fox 5 they have made some arrests of 15 and 16-year-olds on car break-in counts. The councilman has drafted some new legislation on the scooters.
Now, I just want to stop it right there because they say things that a lot of people, laymen's, gloss over. They have made some arrests of some 16 and 15, and I've been there. I've been that 16-year-old, that 15-year-old. I know some guys, a lot of guys that age that were getting arrested. I know them now that are that age that are getting arrested and whatnot. It's not that easy. Like these officers that went and arrested these little 15 and 16-year-olds that are armed, they put their lives on the line, man. They put their careers on the line. Because you may have to shoot one of these teens. They're going to run. They're going to flee. That's a guarantee. You have to chase them. You have to pursue them. They know all the little cuts in the neighborhood. They know how to hide. When you catch them, they're going to fight because that's what they do. All of them do that now. That's a guarantee. You're going to get a tussle. And you can't punch them, you can't choke them, but they can punch you and they can choke you because it's only banned for the cop to do it. And I just don't want y'all to gloss over that. A lot of men in uniforms put their lives and their careers on line every time they encounter these Sun teens. Either a lawsuit, a jail sentence, administrative leave, something is in the cards anytime you encounter these teens.
Atlanta police tell Fox 5 they have made some arrests of 15 and 16-year-olds on car break-in counts. The councilman has drafted some new legislation on the scooters.
Anyone under the age of 16 would not be able to rent one of the devices unless they were under parental guidance at the time.
Councilman Winston says if successful, his legislation would mirror what's already in the books at the state level. From Northeast Atlanta, I'm Morse Diggs, Fox 5 News.
Police have arrested 2 teenagers accused of shooting pellet guns at pedestrians. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Russ Spencer.
I'm Courtney Bryant. Sandy Springs police captured the pair after 2 people were shot at yesterday.
Fox 5's Denise Dillon talked to one man who was hit by 5 pellets.
I talked to one man who was walking down the sidewalk with his dog not far from his house. And he says he heard a sudden noise, felt the pain, and says he didn't know what hit him.
It was a sun ray, man. A UV ray hit him, man.
All of a sudden, I felt like sharp stings in my neck and my back and my elbow. And I heard a pop, 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 pop. And my leg sort of buckled from the pressure.
Of course, it's this guy. And listen, man, a lot of you guys scoff when I declare someone woke. How do you know that person's woke? Well, let me tell you something, man. It's just a look, man. You got to listen to what they say, and you can look at them. This guy's hair's long. Kind of like, tennis shoes and dress. I mean, the way he dresses, you can tell this guy's woke. You can tell this is the type of guy to, be the first one to stand up to the guy in the office who made insensitive comments. The glider, and brand him the resident racist in the office, was saying something like, "They're protesting again? You have the luxury and privilege to say that because you never have to protest for anything." Yeah, but the kid pointed a gun at the cop and the cop had to shoot, right? Well, you don't live in neighborhoods stricken with poverty and the only chance you have is to carry a gun and steal bread to feed your family. Like, he's that guy. Trust me. There's some guy in his office that's been branded a racist for asking the most obvious questions, some benign comment. Like, what's Juneteenth? Juneteenth is the day that the slaves were like.
My leg sort of buckled from the pressure. You want dinner? Come on.
Dan Castle was walking with his dog Sandy down Johnson Ferry Road when he realized someone had shot at him from a moving SUV.
I'm looking around to see if there's bullets on the ground. I'm checking to see if I'm bleeding.
He called 911 and was able to give police a clear description of the vehicle. Police say it was some type of pellet gun. As they were investigating, another call came in.
Another victim just inside the city of Atlanta, which is right next to our city, near Chastain Park. The victim had also been shot multiple times by someone inside a moving vehicle.
Now, listen, man. This guy knows. He knows how bad it is, man. But he's professional. He just speaks about the facts and leaves it alone. But trust me, this guy knows how bad it is down there.
The victim had also been shot multiple times by someone inside a moving vehicle.
Officers were already on the lookout for the SUV. They spotted it and pulled over the driver.
We did locate 2 weapons and a bucket full of pellets.
A bucket full of pellets. Could you imagine if this was the 90s or the early 2000s when everyone didn't have a cell phone? These people would have had to go to the house, find a payphone, then call the police. This could have gone on for days and days and days. Thank God for cell phones, man. A bucket of pellets? Could you imagine what those Sun teens could have done with that?
Okay, 2 weapons and a bucket full of pellets.
Police arrested 2 18-year-olds. They're charged with aggravated assault, battery, and possession of fake IDs.
What they did has consequences.
Castle says he has heard from a dozen others who have had the same terrifying experience.
And they weren't discriminating. It was old ladies, 2 young girls got hit, 2 teenagers got hit in Chastain Park. This woman, another man that was running.
Could you imagine if some young punk gliders, teen gliders, were riding around and had shot an elderly Sun woman? I know you can't imagine. I ask too much of you guys. I'm sorry. I ask too much of you guys.
They weren't discriminating. It was old ladies, 2 young girls got hit, 2 teenagers got hit in Chastain Park. This woman, another man that was running.
Police are now working with other jurisdictions to see if the 2 they arrested are linked to other shootings.
It could have been very dangerous. I mean, just a pellet going into an eye can cause a lot of damage.
I mean, it's sick what they're doing.
Police don't want to release photos of the 2 men arrested or the SUV in case there are other victims that come forward and need to identify the shooters through a photo lineup.
Okay, I respect that. They don't want to tamper. They don't want to pollute the victim pool. Okay, I can deal with that. This is cop work. This is not Twitter. This is not liberal Twitter or Sun Twitter, where we're reacting emotionally to everything. That's cop work. That's police work. These guys have been riding around with a bucket of pellets. This guy, Mr. Glider, man, we just spoke to in the video, he knows 12 people by himself who's been shot. So, yeah, I can understand them wanting to, they want the people to be able to, identify them or identify the car, the vehicle, or identify the suspects, and so they can put these guys away. And no lawyer can come in and say, well, no, Your Honor, I call for this case to be missed. I call for a mistrial, Your Honor, on the grounds that they showed my clients. And the judge like, case dismissed. So I mean, this is actually good police work in this time. We already know who did it. Like everyone in Atlanta knows who did it. They know what the first people look like. The teens, the men who did this look like. 18-year-old, I guess. The men, 10 means. So we know what they look like. Okay? So we don't even need a picture. So it doesn't even matter.
Police don't want to release photos of the two men arrested or the SUV in case there are other victims that come forward and need to identify the shooters through a photo lineup. If this happened to you and you did not report it to police, now's the time to give them a call. In Sandy Springs, Denise Dillon, Fox 5 News.